I found the key on a Tuesday, which is funny because Tuesdays are supposed to be boring, uneventful, the day nothing ever happens. But when my pen rolled off my desk at work and I bent down to grab it, I saw something taped underneath. A small silver key, secured with duct tape hidden in a spot I'd never looked at in 3 years of sitting at that desk. My hands were shaking when I peeled it off. There was no label, no note. Just a key that shouldn't have been there, waiting like a secret that had grown tired of staying buried. I worked at Hoffman & Associates, a mid-sized accounting firm in Portland. It wasn't glamorous. Most days I stared at spreadsheets until my eyes burned, processed invoices, and made small talk by the coffee machine with people whose names I sometimes forgot. I was invisible there, comfortable, safe, or at least I thought I was. The key felt cold in my palm, heavy, like it carried weight beyond its size. I turned it over, looking for any marking, any clue. Nothing. Just smooth, worn metal and a number stamped on one side. 447. "You okay?" My coworker Rachel leaned over the cubicle wall, her eyebrows raised. "You look like you've seen a ghost." I closed my fist around the key. "Yeah, just dropped something." She disappeared back to her side, and I sat there staring at my computer screen without seeing it. My mind was racing. Who put this here? When? How long had it been waiting under my desk? I should have ignored it, thrown it away. But curiosity is a hungry thing, and I'd already started feeding it. The building had lockers in the basement, old metal ones left over from when this used to be a warehouse in the 80s. Most people didn't even know they existed. I'd only been down there once during my first week when I got lost looking for the bathroom. I waited until lunch. I told Rachel I had errands. Then I took the elevator down, my heart hammering against my ribs with each floor that passed. The basement was exactly as I remembered. Cold, fluorescent lit, smelling of damp concrete and old paper. The lockers lined one wall, about 50 of them, each with a small number plate screwed above the handle. I walked along slowly, scanning the numbers. 445, 446, 447. I stopped. The locker looked exactly like all the others. Standard gray metal, a small lock hanging from the latch. My hand was shaking so badly I almost dropped the key twice before I managed to slide it in. It turned with a soft click that echoed too loud in the empty space. I opened the door. Inside was a manila folder. Just one. Nothing else. I pulled it out, set it on top of a nearby box, and opened it. The first page was a newspaper clipping, printed, not original, from the Oregonian. The date was 2 weeks in the future. My heart stopped, because I was staring at my own obituary. Sarah Mitchell, 34, of Portland, died unexpectedly on October 29th. She is survived by her mother, Janet Mitchell, and sister, Amy Chen. Sarah worked as a senior accountant at Hoffman & Associates and was known for her quiet kindness and dedication to her work. A memorial service will be held at Evergreen Chapel on November 2nd. I read it 3 times. 4. The words kept rearranging themselves in my mind, refusing to make sense. This was my name, my age, my job, my family, my life, written in past tense. My hands started trembling so violently the paper rattled. I flipped to the next page. It was a photograph. Me, walking out of my apartment building. I recognized the blue coat I wore almost every day, the coffee cup in my hand. The date stamp in the corner said it was taken 4 days ago. The next page was another photo. Me at the grocery store, another one of me at my car. Someone had been following me, documenting me, planning. The final page was a handwritten note, printed in careful block letters. You know what you saw. They know you know. You have 10 days to disappear or the obituary becomes real. I couldn't breathe. The basement felt like it was closing in. The fluorescent light suddenly too bright. The air too thin. I shoved the folder back in the locker, slammed it shut, and ran. I didn't wait for the elevator. I took the stairs 2 at a time, bursting through the door to the main floor, gasping like I'd been underwater. "Sarah?" Rachel was in the hallway. "What's wrong? You look—" "I'm fine," I said, my voice not my own. I need to go home. Tell Davidson I'm sick." I didn't wait for her answer. I grabbed my bag, left my computer on, and walked out of that building like it was on fire. When I got home, I locked every door, closed every curtain. I sat on my kitchen floor with my phone in my hand, trying to decide who to call. The police? And tell them what? That I found my own obituary? They'd think I was crazy. Maybe I was crazy. Maybe this was some sick prank. But the photos were real. The detail was real. Someone knew where I lived, where I worked, what I wore. Someone had been watching me. You know what you saw. But I didn't. That was the worst part. I couldn't think of anything I'd seen that would make someone want to do this. I was nobody. I processed invoices and ate lunch alone and went home to a one-bedroom apartment with a cat named Pepper. I didn't have enemies. I didn't have secrets, except my breath caught 3 weeks ago, the late night at the office. I'd been the last one there, finishing the Morrison account audit. I'd gone to the 14th floor to return files to storage, and I'd seen, oh God, I'd seen Robert Davidson, the senior partner, and Marcus Chen from legal in the conference room. They didn't see me. The lights were dim. They were standing over something on the table, speaking in hushed, urgent voices. And there were stacks of cash. Not paperwork, not documents. Cash. More than I'd ever seen in one place. I'd backed away slowly, quietly, before they noticed me. I'd returned the files and left. I hadn't told anyone. I'd convinced myself I'd misunderstood what I saw. That it was legitimate. That it wasn't my business. But it was my business now, because someone knew I'd been there. Someone knew I'd seen. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Smart girl. Now you remember. 9 days left. Run far, or what's in that locker comes true. I dropped the phone like it burned me. They were watching. Right now. They knew I'd figured it out. And they were giving me a choice. Disappear forever or be erased. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my living room with all the lights on, curtains drawn, jumping at every sound. Pepper kept trying to curl up on my lap, but I was too wired, too terrified to sit still. My mind kept circling back to the same impossible question. How do you fight someone who's already written your ending? By morning, I'd made a decision. I wasn't running. Not because I was brave, I wasn't. My hands hadn't stopped shaking since I left that basement, but because running meant living the rest of my life looking over my shoulder, waiting for them to find me anyway. And I was tired of being invisible, tired of being the person things happened to, instead of the person who made things happen. I needed proof. Real, undeniable proof of what Davidson and Chen were doing, something I could take to the authorities that would protect me. Not make me look like a paranoid accountant with a conspiracy theory. I called in sick again. Rachel texted asking if I was okay, if I needed anything. I told her it was just a migraine. She sent a get well soon emoji and left me alone. I spent the day researching. Davidson had been with the firm for 23 years. Chen, 15. Both of them pillars of the Portland business community. Charitable donations, galas, awards. If they were moving money illegally, they'd gotten very good at hiding it. But I knew something they didn't know I knew. I was an accountant. And accountants see patterns. We see numbers that don't quite add up. We notice discrepancies. I'd worked on the Morrison account. I'd seen the books. If I could get back into the office, into the system, I could find the trail, I could prove it. Going back felt like walking into a trap. But staying home felt like waiting to be caught in one. I went in at 2 a.m. the next morning, Wednesday. The building was empty except for security, and I knew Tom, the night guard, usually fell asleep watching basketball games in the break room. I had my badge. I had access. I looked like I belonged there. The office was different at night. Shadows where there shouldn't be. Silence that felt wrong. I made my way to my desk, logged into the system, and started digging. Morrison account first. Then Hamilton, then Westbrook Industries, there it was. Buried in sub-accounts and transfer logs. Payments that came in, got processed, and disappeared. Not to clients, not to vendors. To offshore accounts with names I didn't recognize. Millions of dollars moving through our firm like we were a laundromat for dirty money. I was downloading everything to a USB drive when I heard the elevator ding. My entire body went cold. The floor indicator showed it was coming to level 7. My floor. I pulled the USB out, shoved it in my pocket, and shut down my computer. There was nowhere to hide. Just cubicles and glass-walled offices and 40 feet of open space between me and the stairwell. The elevator doors opened. Marcus Chen stepped out. He wasn't alone. Davidson was with him, and they were looking directly at me. "Working late, Sarah?" Davidson's voice was calm, pleasant, like we'd run into each other at a coffee shop. I stood up slowly. "I forgot some files. Needed to catch up." "At 2 in the morning?" Chen moved to block the path to the stairs. That's dedication. My heart was a drum, loud, violent. "I should go. You should stay." Davidson walked toward me, hands in his pockets, expression unreadable. "We need to talk about what you found in the basement." So they knew. Of course they knew. They'd been watching me the whole time. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't insult us both, Sarah. You're a smart woman. Too smart, unfortunately. You saw us 3 weeks ago, and then you found the key we left for you." "You left it?" My voice cracked. "Why?" "Because we needed you to understand the stakes." Chen was closer now, maybe 10 feet away. "We have a very lucrative arrangement, one that requires discretion. When you saw us that night, you became a liability. We gave you a chance to walk away, to disappear quietly, start over somewhere else, but you came back. You're still digging." "I have proof," I said, my hand closing around the USB drive in my pocket. "I have everything. If anything happens to me—" "You'll what?" Davidson laughed, but it wasn't warm. "Send it to the police? The FBI? Sarah, do you have any idea how deep this goes? Who's involved?" I didn't, but the way he said it made my stomach drop. "We own people," Chen said quietly. "People who make things disappear. Evidence? Witnesses, accountants who can't leave well enough alone. So you're going to unalive me?" I hated how small my voice sounded. "Just like the obituary said?" Davidson tilted his head. "We'd rather not. It's messy, complicated, but you're not giving us much choice." I looked between them. These men I'd worked alongside for 3 years, who I'd shared coffee with, who I'd made small talk with about weather and sports and nothing that mattered. They looked the same, but they were strangers. Dangerous strangers. And I had one chance. I pulled out my phone. "Then you should know something. I'm recording this, and it's streaming. Live. To 3 different email accounts and a cloud backup. Everything you just said, it's already out there." The look on Davidson's face was worth every second of terror I'd felt. Chen lunged for me, but I was already running, phone still recording, heading for the stairs. I heard them behind me shouting, but I was faster. Fear makes you faster. I burst out of the building into the cold Portland night. I didn't stop running until I reached the 24-hour police station 6 blocks away. I ran inside, breathless, crying, and told them everything. It took 3 days. 3 days of interviews, lawyers, federal agents. 3 days of showing them the USB drive, the recordings, the obituary. 3 days of my life turning inside out. But the news broke on day 4. Robert Davidson and Marcus Chen, arrested on charges of money laundering, racketeering, and conspiracy. 8 others arrested alongside them. Their entire operation dismantled. The obituary never came true. October 29th came and went. I woke up alive, safe, surrounded by FBI protection, and a future I got to write myself. I left Hoffman and Associates, left Portland, started over in a city where nobody knows my face or my story. Sometimes I think about that key, taped under my desk, how it was supposed to be a warning, a threat, a promise of my end, but instead, it became the beginning of everything. The moment I stopped being invisible. The moment I realized that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is refuse to disappear. They tried to write my ending, but I wrote a different one instead, and I'm still here.